Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
And happy Thursday morning to you, everybody. It is Sports Daily here on KFH 97.5 and 1240. I'm Tommy Kester, Paul Savage, and today filling in for Jacob Albrocht, Jad Chambers behind the board producing our show. The IHOP hotline, that is open all morning long at 869-1240. We appreciate you tuning in to the show today. We've got a pretty busy schedule on the program. At 9:30, our betting insider, PJ Glasser from the BetQL Network, will join us to talk best bets of the weekend. We will get into that. We will also talk to our K-State insider, Tim Fitzgerald from GoPowerCat.com. You can find him on social media at Life of Fitz. That'll be coming up as we kick off hour number 2. Paul, happy Thursday. Good to see you, my friend.
It's good to see you, too. I'm glad everything's going good. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a fun show. There are some really interesting topics that I think we're going to have on this show today. So I look forward to today.
Yeah, of course, Thursday Night Football is tonight.
Yes.
And so that we'll get into that a little bit. Okay. In fact, in our next segment, we'll give a brief preview of that. Both KU and K-State play Friday night primetime games tomorrow night. So we'll get into that with Tim Fitzgerald on K-State. We'll talk a little bit about KU. I have to ask you as we kick off the show,
please,
as a high school football coach, how do you feel overall about D1 college football games on a Friday night?
I hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want KU to do it. I don't want K-State to do it. I don't want friends to do it. I don't want anybody to do it. And here's why. Fridays nights are a special. No, they make movies. They've written books. They've made television programs, for guys' sakes, called Friday Night Lights. And it's the Friday night and it's the lights. That's the combination. And, you know, a lot of budgets for football programs, particularly smaller ones, Tommy, sure, as you know, they derive their revenue from basically the gate. People coming in, buying a ticket, buying a pop, buying a cup of coffee, buying some popcorn. That's how they make their money. Anything that distracts from, let's say, KU or K-State, they take a lot of people all over this state. K-State will draw people all the way from Hugoton all the way up to Atchison. And I'm not crazy about that. I don't like it, Tommy. And I'm saying it forcefully, I think. I hope I'm saying it forcefully. I don't like Friday night football for colleges. If you're an AD and you ever get wind of this, I don't like it.
Nobody likes you know why they do it, right? I mean, come on.
Of course.
The money is there.
I don't.
I mean, think about like, you know, for instance, Fox. And so this K-State game against Arizona tomorrow night is on Fox. That's a primetime network game on a night of the week, regardless of high school football season or not, where traditionally that's not a heavy night for television watching.
Right.
And so if they can get a live, prominent college football game on a Friday night on network TV, you know, and they can increase their ratings and they can get more commercials and all. I mean, come on, like that's a moneymaker right there for Fox.
I don't care. I don't care.
It's the tradition of it, right? It's sacred. Friday night high school football is sacred.
Well, why don't we just, if you're Fox, why don't you just come out and admit you don't give two hoots and you know where about high school football?
I mean, I think they would say that on record. They don't. They don't care about that. Look, my take on it is I don't love it, and I understand the reasons why. I mean, like, yeah, Friday night is high school football. My whole thing is you've got both KU and K-State playing under the lights on a Friday night. You know, if it's gonna have to happen, at least try to make a schedule where it's one or the other. You know, like don't take both teams. You know, and both teams are playing at home. I mean, you know, KU obviously is playing at Children's Mercy, but still, like you're taking up a lot of people around the state who are going to be going to either one of those games because they're both home games. So like choose one. If you can schedule it out to where, you know, if K-State is going to play at home on a Friday night, okay, KU will play on a Saturday. That way you at least can protect a little bit the high school crowds.
Well, it's just a shame. Now, that's just my opinion. And by the way, it's hard to keep a straight face. You got Steve McIntosh and Ted Woodward in the studio right next, making faces at me.
You know, I got to tell you.
They're very immature at times. You know that?
Yeah, our buddies Steve and Ted over on KNSS, they're literally in the studio next to us. And if you're a Steve and Ted listener in the morning, then you're familiar with our producer, Jad Chambers. He's also their producer in the morning. He hops over, from one studio to the other. I got to tell you, like, if you're comparing Steve and Ted and you and I in the morning, I mean, we've got them beat in the looks department.
Oh my God, it's not even close. I mean, really.
They may be Marconi Award winners. Steve McIntosh may be a Kansas Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame member, all of that, but we've got the good looks.
Hey, we're the ones.
We've got the good looks.
We're the ones that have the chicks chasing them. Right?
They may be more talented.
Well,
but we're better looking.
That's at least one thing. But anyway, I'm sorry I digress. But by the way, KNSS is a great deal if you're driving to work. Turn them in. You'll get caught up on what's going on in the world. Now, with that being said, I get your point with regards to the Friday night football. All the reasons in the world will never convince me. Now, let me be truthful. I'm probably a little more vested into high school football on Friday nights than the average guy. Okay, I get it. But these kids,
you're down there on the sideline. You're working with these kids every day.
And I want to see the full attention of the entire state of Kansas. I'm going to talk Kansas only. If you're in Oklahoma and you want Oklahoma State to play on a Friday night, that's your business. Here's what I know. Here's what I know because of the layouts and the demos of both schools. Kansas State in particular is going to pull a lot of people from Western Kansas. Where you got 8-man football, 100%. You got 1A, 2A, you got a lot of smaller schools and stuff. They'll pull a lot. And I'm not saying that those would be crossover people, but it will affect, it will affect.
I know a lot of
Oakley.
people.
Let's look at Oakley.
Sure.
Just pull out Oakley off the map. Will that affect Oakley's attendance? Well, it will. What? 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 people maybe going to Manhattan to see a game with K-State. And that, by the way, is a lot of people. That's a lot of revenue. That's $500 worth of revenue.
It's not just that. It's also going to be on TV that night too. So the people that may want to stay home and not, go out to the Now, of course, you can always bring your phone. You can always watch it on your phone as you're at the high school game. I know a lot of people though. I grew up here, went to college around here, high school, all of that. I know a lot of people from Western Kansas. A lot of people I went to college with, are from Western Kansas. And it might be a 4 or 5 hour drive from far Western Kansas to Manhattan. But they're season ticket holders for Kansas State. They're making that drive. They're making that 4.5, 5 hour drive. They're, third generation farmers or third generation ranchers, fourth, whatever, and they've been season ticket holders since Bill Snyder first came to town, maybe even before then. They're making that drive to Manhattan even on a Friday night, even if there is 1A or 8-man or even 6-man football going on, they're probably going to make that drive to Manhattan. So it's kind of interesting. Andrew on our video stream comments about this whole topic. He said, yeah, you get the improved TV ratings now, but it comes at the cost of growing the game of football for future years and generations. He calls it a short-term gain and a long-term loss.
That's pretty well said. I wish I'd have said that.
I mean, that's more eloquent than what you and I have been babbling about for the last 10 minutes. So we appreciate that comment, Andrew.
That was a great comment.
You can leave your comments, by the way, on our video stream. You can watch us live on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, also simulcasting on 12 News Connected. You can leave your comments right there. They'll pop up on our screen. We'll put them up on the screen for you. Also, I heard this, Paul, that Jacob told me. I wasn't on the show yesterday. Jacob told me after the fact that I believe you guys had a voice message for the very first time on the program that you were able to play back. So
pretty cool.
You can do that right now. If you're listening to the program on the free Odyssey app, you can listen to the show there, download the app, and you can leave a comment. There's a little microphone button when you're listening to the KFH radio live stream on the Odyssey app. You press that microphone button. It's kind of like leaving us a voicemail.
It is.
You can say what you want, obviously within reason. Jad, our producer, will take a listen to it. He'll decide if it's worthy enough to go on our show. But you guys had that yesterday, and that's a pretty cool new feature that you can take advantage of. So many different ways to interact with our program this morning. And, of course, the traditional way on the IHOP hotline at 869-1240. We are just getting going here on a Thursday. On the other side of the break, Paul and I dive into the Royals. They dropped 2 of 3 to the Yankees. They're finally through that incredibly difficult 20-game stretch. We'll take a look ahead and see how things stand for Kansas City. On the other side, it's Tommy Castor and Paul Savage, Sports Daily, coming right back.
Calling Huck's Power Washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Baseball coverage on KFH is presented by T-Mobile. Switch to T-Mobile and you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Use their savings calculator to find out how at T-Mobile.com/switch. The Royals are off tonight. It's another off day for them, and they are still on the road in the middle of this road trip. They dropped 2 of 3 to the Yankees last night, the deciding game of that 3-game set in New York last night. In extra innings, they fall 4-3 in 11. After the day off, they are on the road in Pittsburgh for a big weekend set against the Pirates. And Paul, they're through this 20-game stretch of baseball that, started all the way back, I believe, on August 22nd or 23rd. It's been an absolutely crazy gauntlet of games for the Royals. They finished that stretch of baseball, though, in the 20 games with a record of 9-11. So almost 500. I think going into that stretch, most people knowing who they were playing and the Phillies and the Guardians and the Twins and the Yankees would have probably been okay with 500. Probably thought, a 10-10 record after those 20 games would be okay. 9-11 is slightly under that. Really, it was that 8-game losing streak right in the middle of the stretch of games. But they dropped 2 of 3 on the road to the Yankees, who are probably the best team or one of the top 2 teams in Major League Baseball. Knowing that and knowing that they lose 2 of 3 this week on the road in New York, and they finish this stretch of games at 9-11, how do you feel right now? The Royals are 13 games over 500 still.
Well, I'll tell you how I feel. I feel pretty good. I mean, that no ground was given up because right now the Royals are 4.5 back at the Guardians. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I believe yesterday it was 3.5. And of course, I got involved in some film last night, watching film, getting ready for a football game. And so I was checking on the Royals, and then all of a sudden I get to the 11th, the bottom of the 11th. I check on my phone just to see where we're at because this game is in extra innings. And so I look at my phone and I go, oh, crud. Runners at the corner, 1 out, game tied up. And I thought to myself, bottom of the 11th, here we go. And sure enough, the Yankees scored a run and the game over. So, it was 9-11. Something tells me that that's okay because now this stretch of really, really tough baseball's over, and now there's a chance to make up some ground. And the Guardians all this week so far been feasting on the White Sox.
Right.
I mean, come on.
That's been the struggle with this particular week is that the Royals travel to New York to take on the Yankees.
Yeah.
And the hoping, on Sunday, I think it was after the series this weekend, before they hit the road to New York, I think the Royals had cut the lead for the Guardians down to 2.5 games, I believe.
Right.
And so, it's like, okay, well, they're still right there. They could still potentially find a way to make it work in the division. Of course, the Guardians play the White Sox and the Royals lose 2 of 3 to the Yankees and they're back to 4.5. The silver lining, the positive note, even if the division is out of reach, and it, probably is with 14, 15 games left to play in the regular season, they're 4.5 games back, is that they've got a decent cushion still in the wild card race. It would have to take an epic collapse between now and the end of the season for them to give up that cushion of games. But the teams behind them are playing well right now. The Tigers are playing well. The Red Sox are playing okay. So like there are teams that are still jockeying for position and trying to chase them down. It's going to be easier said than done for those teams, though. But you know what? They survive. I think that's the biggest thing. That 20-game stretch, they survive. It was bad for a while. There were moments where I thought this is going south quickly for Kansas City.
Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, history's on your side on those kind of thoughts. I mean, we've seen that before. So why wouldn't you think that?
Yeah, and in the game last night, it's hard to be overly angry about the way that the series ended with the Yankees. I watched a good portion of the game last night, including the extra innings, and it's hard to be mad at that. Yeah, you're disappointed. You want to see them walk away with the victory. They were clutch in the 7th inning to tie the game, of course, force it to extras. The bullpen was pretty solid, and that has not been, the constant for the Royals. That's not been the norm for Kansas City. Sam Long pitched a fairly clean inning. Ursig came in and pitched 2 innings in relief and only gave up a hit, struck out 2, didn't walk anybody, didn't give up any runs. And honestly, with Bubic, he pitched an inning and a third in extras. He's credited for the loss. He's credited with the blown save, but it was an unearned run. It was an infield single from Jazz Chisholm. Again, it's hard to be too angry with the way that all went down.
Well, I think you're right. But the good thing is the schedule certainly gets much easier. And so that's an advantage. Let me ask you this, with the time left, I mean, literally we're almost halfway through the month of September. So, we're down to what, 2.5 weeks?
Yeah.
Not quite 3 weeks of baseball, correct? So
yeah.
When you think about that, is there any way the Royals win the division? Is there any? I mean, this is baseball.
I just don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think that I think the deficit,
I know,
even at 4.5 games right now, is too large with only a certain number. I mean, they've got 15 games remaining in the regular season. It would take the Guardians to really collapse and the Royals play really strong. Yeah. We actually have a voice message. Again, we talked about it in the last segment. If you want to leave us a message that we can play back on the show, you can do that if you listen to the free Odyssey app. There's a little microphone button right by the play button on the KFH radio page. You can leave a message. Ken has a voice message about the Royals. Jad, go ahead and hit that.
Great series for Salvador Perez in New York. Counted for 6 of the Royals' 11 runs and played great defense. Too bad the game last night didn't turn out better. It could have gone either way.
Thanks for the message, Ken. Really appreciate that. Ken. And that's great insight. I mean, there are things that I think had been, really concerning for the Royals going into this series and really throughout this stretch of baseball. They did some things, even dropping 2 of 3 to the Yankees. They did some things, especially in the bullpen. Ken mentions the defense that give me a little bit more optimism as you enter in a slightly less difficult stretch of the regular season to end the year for the Royals and then ultimately into the playoffs. I feel more optimistic, I guess, now, even knowing that the Royals dropped 2 of 3.
Well, I'm optimistic because even at this time of the year, you get into this, it's been a long baseball season. Salvador Perez, man, what a guy, what a player, what a man. I mean, he had a great series, timely hitting, a lot, RBIs. I mean, he was, I think, the MVP of this series. I mean, even though you dropped 2 or 3, I mean, this Salvador Perez was the key to this team being great. And I like this because Salvador Perez is playing well going down the stretch, which bodes well once you get into the playoffs. So, man, that was great insight by Ken. I really like that. And I'm glad he brought up Salvador Perez because, man, what a player in this series. And where do you want to shine? How about Yankee Stadium in New York City against the Yankees? Where better can you shine to all of baseball than in Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, the Royals have, a handful of series left. And really, I think one thing that's important, and we've talked about this before, Kansas City has at one point it was the best, and I don't have the standings in front of me, so I don't know for sure, but it's one of the best, if not the best, home records in Major League Baseball. Once you get through this series on the road at Pittsburgh this weekend, you go back home. The Royals will go one more time on the road to play the Nationals, a 3-game stretch in DC. The Nationals are really bad. Other than that, their remaining games are at home. Series against the Tigers, against the Giants. I take that back. They stay on the road. They finish the season on the road at the Braves. So they're on the road to wrap up the season, but ultimately the teams that they're playing, like the Nationals on the road, the Pirates this weekend, are not great baseball teams overall. So that's great. By the way, the other quick note I want to make before we go to break, I think what's going to be a key point for the Royals over the final 15 games, if Tommy Pham continues to play the way that he did last night and the way that we've seen him play in that leadoff position, he could be the linchpin offensively for the Royals. Outside of the guys that we always talk about, that may end up being one of the most important acquisitions that J.J. Picollo made. They claimed him off of waivers from the Cardinals. They've not had any production all season long at the leadoff position. They've not even had a regular player bat leadoff all season long. Tommy Pham has kind of solidified his role. And I mean, he was 3 of 4 last night offensively. He could be the guy with his energy and his passion to lead them back to the playoffs.
I like that thought because I think you're right on target. That could be a big difference maker for the rest of the season, but also going into the play. I like the way you think, big boy.
It's going to be interesting.
That's
of course,
interesting.
The Royals get the day off tonight.
Right.
They are back on Friday night and all weekend long on the road at Pittsburgh, taking on the Pirates. You can catch all of the action all weekend long right here on KFH. We're going to step aside for another timeout. On the other side, we'll be joined by our betting insider from BetQL, PJ Glasser. We'll talk about Thursday Night Football and the best bets of the weekend. It's on the way next on KFH.
Calling Huck's Power Washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Hey, big thanks to our friends over at Prairie Fire Coffee, keeping us caffeinated all morning long, every morning here in the KFH studio. Man, I look forward to it every day. You know, I've got, as you know, Paul, I've got 2 little kids. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Yes, you do.
I'm tired all the time. Literally, it's the only thing that gets me excited about getting up and out of bed is knowing that I get to partake in some Prairie Fire Coffee here at the KFH studio. So we really appreciate them and their sponsorship of Sports Daily. On the line now is the host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, PJ Glasser. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all of the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Also, be sure to listen to the Send It In podcast for more analysis. Just search Send It In wherever you find your podcasts. PJ Glasser joining us here on our live video stream and on KFH Radio. PJ, good morning. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, guys. Good morning to you. How's everybody doing?
You know, things are good. And I know that you made your debut with us here on Sports Daily a week ago. I wasn't on the show when you were here a week ago. So this is our first time, you and me, talking some betting. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here. It was awesome last week. We were obviously previewing the Chiefs and Ravens game. I was telling Paul and Jacob that I was a Ravens fan. So, you know, not the best coming back here this week, but it was an awesome game. Came right down to the wire. And I think Bengals Chiefs, guys, is going to be a really good game as well. As you guys know, like whenever the Chiefs kind of go up against these top AFC teams, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bills, like these games are always close. So it should be another good one this week.
100%. We're going to dive into some of the angles with the Chiefs and Bengals here in just a minute. But you mentioned the Bills, PJ. They play tonight on Thursday Night Football, traveling to Miami. You know, it's interesting with Buffalo, especially in week number 1, just kind of seeing the way that offense is going to operate with kind of the depleted weapons that Josh Allen really doesn't have anymore there. Of course, Allen dealing with a hand injury, also on the road to Miami. What do you like in this game as far as an angle is concerned? Where do you think the good options are?
Yeah, guys, I like the under in this game, especially at 49 on BetMGM, getting that nice round number. The Bills, I mean, coming into the season, you figure they'd probably be a more run-heavy football team, right? Getting rid of their top 2 receivers in Diggs and Gabe Davis, James Cook emerging in the backfield for them. And that's what they did in week 1. You know, Allen's pass attempts were limited. He didn't turn the ball over. He ran himself quite a bit. And on a short week, you know, again, while they're still trying to work on the chemistry with the receiving core and these new young faces, I like the under as well. Miami's got some injuries in the backfield. As we know, Mostert's not going to play. A-Chain's a game-time decision. And these games in Miami, like Bills-Dolphins, always tend to be pretty low scoring, pretty sloppy. Tua's played 7 games in his career against Buffalo, guys. He's only thrown 2 or more passing touchdowns 1 time. So he tends to struggle in these games against Buffalo a little bit. And look, when you're talking about games in Miami in September, it's usually one of the best home field advantages because of the heat. But obviously, because this game is at night, it's not as much of a factor. So I think because of that, the Bills defense will have a little bit more of an advantage as it would if it were like a Sunday 1:00 game. So I'm going with the under in this matchup, 49 tonight.
You know, I got to ask one more question about this particular game because I think there's a factor that you haven't brought up, and I'm just going to throw it out there and see if this is a factor. And that is, I'll just tell you, I've been a football coach for over 30 years. I understand how football teams work, how they think, how they're emotional. And there have been so many distractions with the Dolphins right now. And you know all about them. Shoot, you can't watch a broadcast on television on sports, and it doesn't matter what channel it is, or listen to a sports talk radio show without hearing about Tyreek Hill and all the things that are going on. You know, you have a football team that's had, 4 or 5 guys in handcuffs within the last week and all kinds of things going on. Distraction. And you're around football enough to know distractions will kill a football team. Now you're giving the Dolphins 2.5 points, but with all the distractions, all the things on these guys' minds, I don't know that that's enough points. I'm not here to tell you how to set your line. Please, I'm not doing that. But 2.5 points. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills all day long with only having to give up 2.5 points. What do you say about distractions? I know that's not a category usually, but distractions are going to be big on this football team.
No, definitely. Distractions are a huge part, Paul. It's a great point. When, like, as we do these shows throughout the year, guys, and we preview all these games, NFL and college, like, I'll talk a ton about spots and look ahead and letdown spots and sandwich spots and distractions and all these kind of things. So I love all those kind of factors in handicapping games. I will say, I think the fact that the Dolphins won on Sunday is a huge deal, right? If they had all those things with Tyreek Hill, they lost and then had to turn around on a short week, I think it might be a different story, but winning cures everything. And I think at the end of the day, the fact that they were able to win that game, I think the Jacksonville game probably would have been the game where there would have been more distraction just because it was the day of, kind of that shock to the system. You see all the videos like your best player getting arrested on the side of the highway. So now that they won and they've kind of had time to digest it a little bit, Tyreek's talked about it on various outlets. I don't think it's as much of a factor. I would probably take the Dolphins to win tonight on the money line. I wouldn't lay the 2.5 with them. But again, the under would be my play. And then the Dolphins, if I had to make a play on the side, I would lean towards them.
You know, PJ, one quick final note on this particular game, really with the division as a whole. I mean, I think after week one, the AFC East might be the most interesting division in the NFL. I mean, you know, with both Miami and Buffalo having double-digit comeback wins in week one, the Jets at moments looked like the team that we thought they would be, especially offensively, but the defense for New York let them down on Monday Night Football, and then the Patriots come out of nowhere to beat the Bengals. I mean, at this point, I mean, things can change a lot, but I kind of feel like the AFC East is wide open. If you're looking at a futures bet or something, is there a play or an angle with that particular division?
It's a great question. I think the Jets are probably the play, Tommy, if I had to make one, just because the Bills and the Dolphins obviously play each other tonight. So chances are one of those teams have to lose. And if Buffalo, you would figure New England probably going to fall to Seattle this weekend. The Jets are favored at Tennessee. This was a division, guys, in the offseason where Buffalo was pretty much favored the entire offseason. And then as we start getting closer and closer to the season, people are looking at these two rosters and kind of what the Jets did in the offseason and all the pieces that the Bills lost, and the Jets actually became the betting favorite. But look, Buffalo and Miami were favored in that game. The Jets were underdogs to San Francisco. So it's not like the Jets lost or they lost a game that they were supposed to win on paper.
Yeah.
The fact that you're kind of getting them at a better price right now, I still like New York in that division.
You know, we talked about just a moment ago, you mentioned the Patriots, and that was probably one of the most surprising outcomes of week one, them beating the Bengals. This is a Bengals team that they come to Kansas City this weekend on Sunday. They play the Chiefs. And you mentioned it to start off this entire segment, that the Chiefs and Bengals and the history over the last few years is, you know, really intriguing. And with all the history between both of these teams, and there's been bad blood in years past and that sort of thing, I was really, really hyped up for this game until I saw what the Bengals did in week one. And then I'm like, well, maybe they're just not very good. And I know that there have been a lot of issues. Joe Burrow still coming back, trying to get 100% healthy. Jamar Chase just agreeing to a contract and, you know, not particularly game ready. I know they had him on a pitch count. T. Higgins out. All of those different factors that, you know, probably will be shored up to an extent when they play the Chiefs at Arrowhead on Sunday. But still, I don't know about you, but I feel like my excitement level in general, and also how I want to bet this game, it's just kind of up in the air for me right now.
Well, and the lines reflected that, guys, because the look ahead before week one was Chiefs minus 3.5. And that line felt about right? Like Kansas City was 3-point favorites against Baltimore. Maybe Baltimore is like a 0.5 point better than the Bengals. Well, now this line got all the way up to 6, and now it's down to 5.5. And the stat that I absolutely love, guys, is that Burrow and Mahomes have played 4 times in their career, and all 4 of those games have been decided by exactly 3 points. So these games always come down to the wire. They're always field goal games. They're always close. I know a lot of people are going to take into what they saw out of New England. Honestly, I think Cincinnati was probably looking ahead to this game. I don't think they really treated New England with the proper respect. We all thought New England, there was a chance they might not win a game this season, but the Bengals are coming to Kansas City, and I'm sure the Chiefs are ready, and they know that they're going to get their best shot. Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow are 1-8 straight up in weeks 1 and 2. So for whatever reason, they always get off to a slow start. That's why I don't think the Bengals win the game. But man, history tells us, guys, that this is going to be a field goal game, a 4-point game. The fact that we're getting 5.5, 6, I like the Bengals to keep this game close.
I'm going to let Paul ask the next question, but I just wanted to jump in really quick. And I'm going to give my co-host Jacob Albrocht a little bit of credit because even though I wasn't on the show, he made sure to let me know that last week in this segment with you, he made it clear that he loved Xavier Worthy for the first Chiefs touchdown. And he bet it. I think he won a decent amount of money. So he's not here today.
Beautiful.
But I feel like I got to give him props. So I think that, that was something that I know you guys talked about, PJ.
There you go. Why not? Hey, and one other game I'd like to visit with you about is Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans. That's a six Bears getting 6 points. You know something? Here's the thing I like about this game. Houston's going to be a good football team. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up winning the division and getting into the playoffs and making a run. Chicago Bears, even though they've got a pretty good defense, Caleb Williams stinks. He stinks.
It's 1 week, Paul.
Well, he still stinks.
Okay.
Is my thinking off a little bit? Because I sure like Houston, even though they're given 6 points. Am I off on this thing, PJ?
No, I like Houston as well. I would lay the 6.5 with them. And I think both results in the Houston and Chicago game last week were misleading, right? We know all about the Bears game. Tennessee was up 17. Bears have a couple defensive touchdowns. They averaged 2.9 yards per play in that game, guys. Like, it was historical stuff that Chicago with the rookie quarterback and how bad their offense was able to win that game. Meanwhile, Houston easily could have dropped 40 on Indianapolis. They had they mismanaged the clock late in the first half. They were settling for a bunch of field goals in the red zone. Like, Stroud and that offense looks exactly like it did last season. Really, really good. Houston's defense, I expect to be much better this week against a rookie and at home. So I'm with you, Paul. Like, anything under 7, I think is a great price with Houston. I think they'd be a good look this week for survivor pools and all that kind of stuff. So I'm right with you. I like Houston. I'd lay the 6.5 with them.
Our betting insider, PJ Glasser from BetQL, joining us here on the program today. I think one of my biggest takeaways, PJ, from week 1 in the NFL, I was impressed by what I saw from the Dallas Cowboys on the road in Cleveland last week. I mean, I had a feeling, I'm not really high on Cleveland. I had a feeling they would probably win the game, but I didn't think that Dallas would dominate in the way that they did. Were you surprised by that and the way that all played out?
I was on last week with Jacob and Paul, and I told him that Cleveland was one of my favorite bets just because it was almost a fade of Dallas. And like, Dallas always tends to lose those kind of games when you get them like outdoors and they're on grass instead of turf. And Dak goes up against a good defense. But man, right away, you could just tell that Dallas was the right side. And obviously Watson did not look good at all for Cleveland. But now that Dallas is back at home, like, these are the spots where you want to back them. Dak in Jerry World, laying a big number, like, they tend to roll in these games. And I know everybody's going to be super impressed by what the Saints did, but the Panthers look like they're going to be a mess again this season. And Derek Carr going up against that pass rush for Dallas. Derek Carr is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league when you get him under pressure, right? No quarterback likes pressure, but Carr's stats when he has a clean pocket compared to when he's under duress is just very drastic. So I like Dallas. Again, like Houston, if you can get the Cowboys under 7 this week, I think it's a great bet. So I like Dallas to roll this week, guys.
Well, I think you're exactly on target too. I've got a couple questions, if you don't mind. Tommy, you mind if I switch to college real quick?
Yeah, let's do that.
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Of course, I am fascinated with the Kansas football team. The loss in Illinois kind of shook me a little bit. I did not see that coming. I'll be real truthful. I thought Kansas would win that game, and I actually kind of thought they might win it fairly handily. Yeah. But with that being said, you go to they got UNLV coming into Kansas City, and they're 9-point favorites. 9-point favorites. That's a lot of points. What do you see when you look at UNLV and Kansas at this point right now?
Yeah, guys, UNLV is a really good team. They might be good enough to make the college football playoff this year as one of those group of 5 teams. They have a really good coach in Barry Odom. They got a young, really good offensive coordinator in Brandon Marion as well. And I'm kind of looking at the over in this game at 58.5. We all know how great of a coaching staff Leipold in Kansas has, and that offense, especially when they're at home. So I would look at the points in this game and take the over at 58.5, but I would also go with UNLV at plus 8.5 as well. UNLV played Houston in week 1, and for me, it was one of the most impressive performances any team had because of what their defense did. Like UNLV, they're going to be able to score points, but their defense played really well against Houston. And, Illinois kind of put out the blueprint there a little bit about maybe how you could slow down Kansas, try and take away Daniel's athleticism, make it a little bit of a pocket passer. So I like UNLV plus the points. I think Kansas wins. I just think 8.5, 9's too many. But I like the over as well. I think this could be a shootout, like a 34, 31 kind of game.
Yeah, the Kansas game last week against Illinois, PJ, the under hit big time. I mean, it was a 37-point total between the two teams a week ago. And I think that part of where the line is set is, these two teams faced off in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl a season ago that Kansas won 49-36. I mean, it was a shootout, a little bit different this season. And I wonder, and this is more of a overall, maybe more of a philosophical question, I guess, when you're looking at college football, and it does relate to this particular game with Kansas this weekend. You're through a couple of weeks of the season. A team like Kansas, and there are other teams across the nation that have been this way, they're expected to have high-flying offenses, but they've been a little rusty. It's taken a little bit of time to get going. Do you bake that into when you're making these decisions as far as what you're betting, the time it takes for a team to get things rolling early on in a season?
For sure, especially a quarterback coming back from injury, right? Like all that kind of stuff takes time. And guys, Kansas, and we can go into this Kansas State game as well. Something that these two teams are dealing with are now, as you said, Tommy, like there's expectations with these two teams, right? So Kansas and K-State are used to being in the underdog role. Like you would love them when they would get Oklahoma or Texas, right? Or some of those good Matt Rule Baylor teams like coming into Lawrence or Manhattan. And now with those teams out of the conference, it's like outside of Utah, like these are the two of the teams that are expected to compete for the league this season. So it's just an interesting shift and kind of change for these teams to deal with. So when you see Kansas laying like 8.5, 9, when you see Kansas State laying 7, it's tough for me to lay numbers with those kind of teams just because when you're the underdog, that's one thing. But when you're favored, I mean, we saw a little bit of it last week with Kansas State against Tulane and how that game, they almost got upset. So, I think both games are going to be tricky this week for both of those teams. I think they both win, guys, but I would take the points with UNLV and I would take the points with Arizona as well.
Yeah, it's a top 25 matchup in Manhattan tomorrow night under the lights with Arizona coming to town. It's interesting because, Arizona is obviously a really good team and a top 25 team. It's not a conference game, even though they're both in the same conference. So a little bit interesting there with that. Before we let you go, other favorite plays of the weekend could be in the NFL, could be in college. What do you like this weekend for our listeners?
Yeah, I'll give you guys one in college and one in the NFL that I really like. The college play that I love this week is going to be Utah State plus 20.5 against Utah, guys. It's a look-ahead spot for the Utes. So they got Oklahoma State and Stillwater next week, which is going to be a massive game. Cam Rising, their quarterback, got dinged up last week against Baylor. He might not even play in this game, but even if he does, this is just one of those games that Utah and Kyle Whittingham just wants to escape and get out healthy. The fact that they got to travel on the road to a group of 5 team and play Utah State, it's going to be their Super Bowl, right? Like Utah State's going to be playing that game to win it. They want to be this week's Northern Illinois, who upset Notre Dame last week, whereas Utah just kind of wants to escape and get by. And also an interesting nugget in that game, Utah State's quarterback is Bryson Barnes, who played quarterback last year for Utah. So I really like Utah State this week against Utah. And then in the NFL, guys, look, I'll fade my Ravens this week against Vegas and take Las Vegas plus the 9 against Baltimore. We talked about it last week when we were previewing Ravens and Chiefs. Lamar is great as an underdog against the spread, and he normally wins those games outright. But when he's at home as a big favorite, that's when you want to fade him. He wins the games, but he normally doesn't cover those big numbers. We all saw Baltimore and their offensive line really struggle against Kansas City. Now you got Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins coming into town. The scheduling spot for Baltimore, too, is very tough, right? Obviously, an emotional game after playing Kansas City. Guys, there are 3 games on deck. They're at Dallas next week, followed by Buffalo and Cincinnati as well. So a tough start to the season for the Ravens. This would kind of be that one game for them to maybe just kind of cruise by, right? Not show too much. Lamar got beat up in that Chiefs game. So a lot of reasons I like the Raiders to keep that game close this week. And I like Utah State in college football as well.
Man, there are some really interesting angles and matchups for this weekend slate. It all starts tonight. The Bills on the road in Miami to take on the Dolphins. We really appreciate it, PJ. Thanks for being on. And of course, we'll talk to you next week.
Looking forward to it, guys. Have a good week.
All right. That was PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In, and he's an Odyssey Sports betting insider. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all of the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Always appreciate having PJ on. It's been great, Paul, to have somebody with his knowledge coming in and, being able to give us some good tips and pointers for betting.
Boy, PJ knows his stuff.
Yeah, he does.
He knows his stuff, and it's really been a lot of fun. Boy, it's going to be a fun football season with him. And boy, the guidance he gives, I think, is spot on. I mean, I can't hardly argue with anything he brought up.
If you missed any of his angles, any of his favorite bets, you can always go back and listen to our show on the free Odyssey app. It's podcasted out each and every day. You can go back and listen as you're making your wagers for tonight or for this weekend. Definitely look at what he's doing, because this guy knows his stuff.
He does.
There's no doubt about that. You can also follow him on X, by the way, at PJGlasser9. We're going to step aside for a timeout, and that wraps up hour number 1. On the other side, our K-State insider, Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, will join us to kick off hour number 2. It's Sports Daily, coming right back.
Calling Huck's Power Washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
He's got all the insight of what you want to know and maybe some of what you don't want to know. Here's K-State insider Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2 of Sports Daily here on KFH. I'm Tommy Castor, along with Paul Savage, in for Jacob Albrocht today. Jad Chambers producing the program as always. The IHOP hotline is open at 869-1240. Speaking of IHOP, they are excited to bring back their all-you-can-eat pancakes deal that's going on now through September 15th. So a few more days of that. And I believe you can actually get that through the end of September, actually. So I think that that's been extended. But we appreciate IHOP and their support of the program. Let's bring in now our K-State insider, Tim Fitzgerald, on the program. Fitz, I got to tell you, first off, welcome to the show. Second off, I wasn't on last week. I had a conflict, and it was like a piece of me was missing because I didn't get a chance to talk to you. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you and I get a chance to connect today.
I'm glad I get to see Paul's face, and I'm pleased to be hopping on this show.
Oh,
I love that.
Hey, I'll tell you what, you got two fanboys with you. What do you think of that? Two big fanboys of Tim Fitzgerald.
Can I, by the way, can I use that hopping in for because that'd be a great marketing campaign. I pitch that to them. That's a really good idea.
I just give this stuff away for free.
I love it. You'll get a royalty. You'll get a finder's fee for something like that. Exactly. I love that. Let's get in. We got a lot to talk about here about K-State football. Let's start first off with the Tulane game. Of course, the Wildcats get the win. Not easily, though. It was a sweat for them for a while. But with the comeback late in the game, being able to, ultimately walk away with the victory. Look, Tulane's a really good football team. Even though they've got a brand new coach and a little bit of a different identity than what we've been used to out of that program for a long time. Is that a game? I mean, I know it's non-conference, but is that a game that you walk away from just thinking, all right, we escaped, we got a W, and now we're on to the next? Or are there some big things that you think that they can take away from this game?
There are. And if you go back and look at that game, in some ways, they're fortunate they learned some important lessons about their team and won. If they hadn't realized they had some issues with communication and where guys were looking on plays while in the secondary, they would have found out against Arizona real quick and painfully so. So now they've got something that they can really show film to the players and get it corrected. They know they need to start faster on offense. So yeah, it continued to expose some issues with this team that they can solve. And it's probably best they solve it now than after getting handed your head by an Arizona offense that can put up some points.
Yeah. I think that's a major takeaway because, I was a little surprised with, how poorly the secondary played, especially early in the game. I know they made some adjustments, and I'm not sure that, really it was the best. I'm not sure they were put in the best situations early in the game against Tulane. We all know how high flying Arizona's offense is. That's clearly, in my opinion, at least, got to be number one priority this entire week for Kansas State, is to get that shored up before tomorrow night.
Oh, it's essential. They solved it at Tulane for the most part by just bringing more pressure because the young quarterback couldn't really handle that. And then he couldn't locate receivers as easily. Still made some plays though. And that's really what turned the game for K-State. I don't think you can do the same thing against Arizona. And Noah Fifita is a savvy quarterback and he will get the ball out of his hand earlier. And he knows where all of his guys are, as our experts from Arizona have told us over and over. He can read a defense pre and post snap pretty well. And that's going to be an issue for K-State if they have some wide open gaps in their zone coverage.
So earlier in the week, Tim, I was looking at the stats. I went to the K-State football website, and I'm looking at some stats, and I look up Avery Johnson. I see, well, he's got 334 total yards passing. So that's not bad against the University of Tennessee, Martin. Those are respectable numbers. I go, oh, wait a second. That's 2 games.
Yep.
2 games. So conversations wherever I go, people are asking me, what's the story with Avery Johnson? Because I'll tell you what, there's expectations with a kid like this. And right now, I don't know that he's quite meeting those expectations. But 334 yards should have been what he had against UT Martin, and it's not. And it looks like he struggled. I don't know if it's protection problems. I don't know if it's receiver problems. I don't know. I'm not sure I have it. And I know football well enough to know when I see a problem, but I'm not sure what the problem is. I haven't identified it totally. Where are you at right now with Avery Johnson? What's his upside on this thing? I know he's going to get better because he's talented.
Yeah.
Where are we with Avery Johnson, Fitz?
I think a lot of it's been play calling and how they're using him. In an effort to protect him, they're making him a different quarterback than what he should be. So they have to find that balance of letting him, run the ball, operate outside the pocket, and get comfortable. So when he is in the pocket, he's a little bit more effective. It's an odd thing. He's much more accurate on the run, throwing from odd positions, contorting his body, than just standing in a clean pocket and throwing the ball downfield. And he'll improve at that. And when he does, it's going to be a lot of trouble. But boy, they have to make sure in this game they get him up and in sync early in the game. And I don't know if that means a design quarterback run in the early stages of this game, but they're also trying to be very cautious with him because there's a significant drop off between Avery Johnson and the rest of the quarterback room.
Fitz, I'm a little bit, I don't even want to say concerned because it might actually be a good problem to have. But I've definitely noticed, I think through the first couple of weeks of the season, that Kansas State might have a Dylan Edwards problem. And specifically, that is him not being able to get the ball enough. He was super effective against Tulane. I don't think that the recipe for success is to take touches away from DJ Giddens, because Giddens was also really good against Tulane. I worry a little bit about the split and ways to maybe try to make that a little bit more equitable and being able to, let Edwards be Edwards. In your mind, I mean, do you see the same thing, number one? And then number two, if you do see that same thing, is there a good solution in place? Is it maybe, I've thought about this, maybe not having Avery Johnson do some designed runs and things like that? I'm just trying to figure out if that is an issue, if it will be moving forward, and if it is, what the solution is.
Well, I think what they need to figure out, and I'm sure they have it in the offense, maybe we'll see it tomorrow night, is getting Giddens and Edwards on the field with Avery Johnson. And maximizing your offensive threats. Who do you take away? I think the answer is you don't worry about DJ Giddens as much because he's not as explosive as the other two, and yet that'll get you beat also.
Right.
Because that guy will just grind away at you until there's no more of you. It's interesting, but one of the things they're doing that they need to get away from, they've been playing Dylan so infrequently that when he comes on the field, there's a good chance he's getting the ball. I mean, that's a pretty good tip of the hand there, that we only play him when we want him to get the ball. So they have to get over that and just get him on the field more. But then you got to take someone off the field, and it becomes an interesting issue that they need to sort through. But the more weapons you can put out there and the more things you can do to stress a defense and the defensive coordinator, I'm in, and they need to get to that.
I kind of got a two-part question for you here. The first part is physicality. I just kind of want your opinion. A lot of times, well, particularly last year, I thought we saw very, very physical offensive line. Where do you think this line is, and where will this offensive line be at the end of the year by the time they come together and in terms of physicality? Because I've always been big on that. Teams that are usually the more physical of the two football teams on a field, that team usually wins. Mm-hmm. And just where do you think this offensive line is going to be? What's the upside? How good will it get? And my second question, I'll let you answer however you want to, is just how big a dump was that stadium that they played in on Tulane? I watched that whole game. That thing looked like it was a dump.
It was okay. The funny thing is it's concrete, but yet it was raining in the concourse underneath the stands more than it was out on the field during the game.
Okay,
it's leaking so much.
Oh my gosh!
But it's a cool setting. I'll give them that.
All right, okay.
It kind of crammed in there, but as for the offensive line, they need to get better. But I think we've seen K-State's offensive line, even when it was experienced, kind of get off to slow starts every year. And so that doesn't surprise me. But one of the things that has set them back a little bit is Hadley Panzer's been kind of dinged up all season. He may not play on Friday night because of aggravating an ankle, I think it is, at Tulane. And also, you've got that Carver Willis out on the right tackle edge was injured in that game. I guess he was injured on an early possession, and he played through it. But there was some doubt about him, but he's back in practice. So we might see some shuffling on the line. But I also thought the guys that came in might have played better. And, Johnson's feeling some pressure. The only reason he has no sacks is he can get out of there and move. He's very elusive. So they got to shore that up. There's no doubt about it. They can be better than that, and they will. You're exactly right. As they get deeper into the season, they'll learn to dance with each other. They'll get it down. They'll quit missing blocks and be more physical and do the things that Connor Riley teaches them to do.
Well, Fitz, not only has K-State not allowed a sack, partially because of Avery Johnson's mobility, defensively, even though the secondary was not good last week, they lead the Big 12 in quarterback sacks. Austin Romaine has 2. Brendan Mott, Toby Osanami each have a sack and a half. That has been a bright spot defensively through the first 2 games. They've been able to get to the quarterbacks they've played against. And, knowing how dynamic Arizona's quarterback can be, that's definitely got to be something that they lean on, and knowing that the secondary had some struggles last week.
Yeah, he's good, and he's going to pick you apart if you let him get comfortable. I thought Northern Arizona did a great job of not letting him get comfortable. They kind of backed up and put guys in. I think they played a lot of dime. They bracketed McMillan, their star receiver, and did a good job. But I also think, Arizona, like K-State, was probably peeking down the road a little bit. Both fired up for this one. I think both teams are going to be pretty good and on Friday night. And if Fifita is pretty good, he's going to stress this defense quite a bit.
When you look at this defense, and you're going to be a lot more familiar with Arizona and what they do because you've watched a lot more film than me and Tommy. That's for sure. But my question to you is, what's the one guy on defense we got to keep an eye on? If he does well, if he does what he's supposed to do, who's the one guy we'll know just how good defense is for K-State because this one guy, who is that one guy that's having success?
Well, I can't name exactly who, but it's going to be a linebacker.
Linebacker, okay.
And this is why I say that.
Okay.
That's going to be such an important role of tying the front to the back in this game in particular. And but K-State might be in the dime quite a bit. So if you take a linebacker off the field, who is it? I mean, they're all three playing well. Des Purnell seems like a guy you can't take off. And Austin Romaine, the true sophomore, was really good at Tulane. He forced that fumble. And of course, then you got Moore that is kind of your rock. So I don't know who you take off the field. I don't know how K-State's going to address that. But yeah, I think one of those linebackers needs to have a really big day. Because I also suspect someone's going to be kind of shadowing Fifita to try to track him down a little bit, make sure he doesn't, have a totally clean pocket if he rolls out. He'll move around quite a bit. He's not a runner as much as I thought he was. He's hardly a runner, but he's really patient and finds his receiver. He's elusive.
Tim Fitzgerald, GoPowerCat.com, joining us, our K-State insider here on Sports Daily, as he does every single Thursday. You can follow him on social media at Life of Fitz. Let's shift gears here briefly, Fitz, before we let you go. We always like getting your take on the ever-changing world of college realignment. The news just in the last 12 hours or so that the Pac-12, it's weird to still say that because it's two teams or two schools. There are reports and sources out there that are saying that they are adding 4 more to, I guess, be the Pac-6. We're talking Colorado State, Fresno State, Boise State, San Diego State joining the Pac-12. To me, I understand that this was absolutely a necessary move for the conference to try to stay at least semi-relevant. But I mean, it's not really a needle mover. How do you feel about this?
Well, I imagine others will follow. If you're UNLV or San Jose State or Wyoming, you're probably knocking on the door saying, okay, we want to talk about this again. Because you got to have more than 6, don't you?
You have to.
I mean, you would think you want to at least get to 8. And if, you really want to operate a conference, 10 is the best number. You play 9 games and schedule 3 non-conference games, and there you go. I don't know who you add at that point. It's kind of funny because it's a good possibility there's going to be 2, 3, 4 teams from the Mountain West that are just left out, and then they're left holding the hat. We've got a conference, but a shortage of teams, and then they'll go raid someone else.
Yeah,
and thus we just keep repeating the cycle.
Yeah,
but this is what the Pac-2 needed to do. They needed to add regional schools. Now people are talking, well, maybe Stanford and Cal will return. Well, Stanford and Cal already rejected Boise. They don't want anything to do with Boise's academics. That seems to be more important to them than actually having functioning athletic programs. So good for them. I mean, if they came back, that would really help the conference. And I think if they get to 8, they're going to be solid. I don't think it's a power level conference by any means, but it'll be somewhere in the middle, and that's pretty good. It's better than dying.
I always enjoy giving you a chance to laugh at me, Fitz. You know that, and you usually do at some point in every interview.
It's one of my favorite things to do.
It's Tommy's favorite thing in the world right now. But here's the chance for you to laugh at me. I'm going to make a comment, and you just tell me how silly I am. I'd like to see Washington State and Oregon State join the Big 12.
This is the weirdest thing to say, but I truly believe it. They don't want that geography. You got a conference that goes almost coast to coast, but that turn into the Pacific Northwest is significant. I mean, and I think they just feel like those schools don't move the needle enough to warrant addition in terms of TV ratings and what you get from the networks. They're just going to sit there and keep an eye on the ACC and try to get back into that Eastern time zone where a lot of viewers are.
One more thing for you, Fitz, before we let you go. Paul and I have this discussion to kick off the show today. Of course, K-State, primetime Friday night game in Manhattan against Arizona. There are some cool things about it, considering that it's network TV in primetime, big stage, all of that. And I think we've maybe had this conversation before when you've been on. Friday night, high school football, and especially for a university like Kansas State, you've got a lot of fans in Western Kansas, where high school football is big, and we're talking 1A, 2A, 8-man, 6-man, that sort of thing. It's not even just necessarily, and I know a lot of people, friends of mine that I grew up with and things like that, that will drive 4 or 5 hours from far Western Kansas or Southwest Kansas to Manhattan. They're season ticket holders and they go to all the games. But it's even, the fact that maybe not even going to the game, but watching it on TV on a Friday night. Where do you land on this? It's coming up tomorrow night, and it's happening. You also have a KU quote unquote home game in Kansas City. So both state D1, big time schools playing on a Friday night with high school football. Where do you land on that?
Well, that at the end of the day, that's the biggest problem is you got them both playing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm not real comfortable with Friday night football because of everything you said. But this is a function of the conference trying to get into as many high-level broadcast windows as possible. They're not just playing on Friday night. Kansas State's on Fox Network.
Yeah.
And Kansas is on ESPN. Guys, that's just not going to happen very many Saturdays this year because they both have their favorites, SEC and Big Ten, and they're going to put worse games often in better windows just because they've invested more money. And that's a reality. And now the Big 12 is having to bend the knee a little bit to the networks and play these Friday night games so they get good windows, they get clean windows for the most part. And the fact that they don't have much competition, it's just bizarre. They decided to both pick Big 12 teams to compete against each other for the viewership and 2 teams from a small state. So it's really an odd pairing that they've done this, but both games will be terrific.
Yeah.
I wish I could watch the KU UNLV game because I think it's going to be really good, but I'll be a little bit busy.
Yeah, and I can't even watch K-State. I would normally sit down and watch the entire game, just like I did.
Well, you'll be on the sideline.
I'll be on the sideline. Wichita East. I'm assistant football coach at Wichita East, and I've got to go. I've got to go to the game. It's a big game against Northwest, and be City League championship ramifications. I've got to tape it and then watch it later that night. But probably I'll watch it the next morning.
You could sneak your phone on the sideline. I'm sure that they would never know. You could watch it.
I'm not going to do that, for God's sakes. That's crazy. But anyway, so it affects me, and we're not complaining because it affects me. But these high schools, they need the revenue, they need the interest in these little towns, and that's the only reason we bring that up. I think you're total sensible about what you just said on the do's and the don'ts. And I guess Tommy and I, we get it. We understand.
I get it.
We get it.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Fitz. Though
It's
not for me. It's the fact that both teams are playing on Friday night, like you said. If it was one or the other, at least I could get on board with that. I wouldn't love it, but I would understand it more.
We understand it.
Both teams, man. That's going to be tough tomorrow night for high school football around the state.
Paul, I have your solution.
What's that?
Get one of those fancy helmets that has in-helmet communication.
I love it.
And feed that sucker down the line into your ear wearing a helmet. No one's going to question why the coach has a helmet on because it's you. It might prevent you from being injured while you fall.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
I mean,
great idea. Fitz.
I've often said that Paul should wear a helmet all the time.
Yes. And thank you for that, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for the vote of confidence from you two.
Fitz, before we let you go, what do you guys have going on at GoPowerCat.com?
Well, if you're fired up for the game, we've got our PowerCat pregame podcast up on Go PowerCat. It's available on YouTube, of course, and all podcast networks if you have your favorite. And then also we have Big 12 Game Day up, which is a new endeavor we have of Big 12 Insider. So if you're a Big 12 fan, you've got that up on YouTube. You can go watch that. And of course, we've got all of our typical game coverage leading up to the preview, a little bit compressed because of Friday night, but we'll still roll out most of our typical Friday coverage as is, and it just won't have as long of a shelf life. But I think we can all agree the best news is Fitz gets to watch Saturday college football.
How
I
about
love it.
that? Good.
How
for
about
you.
great? You know what?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna line out this game, and I'm sure I will never say this phrase again in describing another college football game. It's a top 25 Friday night primetime matchup that is a non-conference game against conference opponents. I mean, it's
Wow.
bizarre. It's
That's
wild.
weird.
Tomorrow night, of course, kickoff is at 7:00. You can hear all the coverage right here on KFH. Fitz, we appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you, boys.
There goes Tim Fitzgerald. You can check out everything he's got going on over at gopowercat.com and follow him on social media at Life of Fitz. If you missed anything from that conversation, go back and listen to it anytime on the free Odyssey app. Before we go to break, let's set up our text giveaway for the day, HTO. You can win some free HTO by texting the keyword T, that's TEA, to short code 20357. Each participant can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply. Good luck in that contest. We're going to step aside and talk a little bit more college football. It's coming up for you next on Sports Daily at KFH.
Colin Huck's power washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
NFL Thursday Night Football available for free right here on KFH and on the free Odyssey app. Tune into KFH at 7 o'clock tonight for Buffalo traveling to Miami facing the Dolphins, or simply download the Odyssey app and search for KFH at Game Time. We'll go through our entire schedule for the day at the end of the program, but immediately preceding the NFL on KFH Thursday Night Football tonight, the Chris Kleiman Show, K-State football, will talk about the upcoming matchup against Arizona tomorrow night. That will be at 6 o'clock tonight right here on KFH. Looking forward to hearing Coach Kleiman's thoughts on the Tulane game and, of course, them walking away with a victory there last week. It was tense for a while, and then how they plan to overcome some of those issues tomorrow night in Manhattan against Arizona. Paul, let's talk about the other primetime game in the state tomorrow night. KU taking on UNLV. We talked a little bit about it with PJ Glasser in hour number one, our betting insider. But, you know, for me, it's hard to shake the memory of the way the Guaranteed Rate Bowl went a year ago with both of these teams, where it was high flying. It was a shootout. I remember Kansas, you know, jumping out to a lead. And of course, it wasn't Jalen Daniels, and it was Jason Bean leading that offense. And they came to play, at least offensively. UNLV did make it a game, made it competitive, but the Jayhawks get a 13-point win in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl back in December. You know, I know that PJ Glasser loves the over. I don't. I'm really leaning towards the under, even though I know what these two teams did, 9 months ago. I don't have total confidence yet in the way that Kansas's offense is coming together.
You know, something, you make an interesting point. Part of the thing about when you want to go over, you got to assume that the football is going to be in the air some, don't you? This might be one of those games where you're going to see more than usual ball on the ground, grind it out, control the clock, you know, run plays that the clock doesn't stop. I'm just saying that's a possibility.
Yep.
You know, UNLV does a good job. It's a bit of an old school in terms of how they handle their running game. So it may be that this game goes quick, in terms of how much time is spent. I mean, I don't know. I think you're probably smart going under, because I think this is going to be probably a little shorter of a football game than average. I could be wrong, but this is a game where I doubt if it's going to get aired out on either side. Do you?
Well, I mean, I think that after the way that things went last week for the Jayhawks in really leaning on Jalen Daniels and his arm, I think that there was so much uproar from the fan base, like, you know, put the ball on the ground, run the football, don't throw it as much as you did. I mean, there was a lot of criticism, and rightfully so, on Jeff Grimes, the new play caller offensively for the Jayhawks in last week's game against Illinois, because Paul, Jacob and I discussed it earlier this week, and I know you guys had Sharius Latta, our KU insider, on the show yesterday, and I'm sure you guys talked about it with him too. I really felt like Kansas dominated the majority of the game. They dominated up front. They dominated defensively. and they held Illinois to 17 points. The big concern was keeping Illinois' quarterback in check and his running ability. I thought they did a pretty good job at that. It was simply the fact that they really leaned on in my opinion, rusty Jalen Daniels, still working his way back and getting back to game speed. Meanwhile, you've got a couple of the best running backs in the conference that didn't get the touches that they deserved. And that's a major issue for me and something that they absolutely have to get remedied for tomorrow night.
Right. And part of the conversation we had yesterday was regarding the physicality of the KU offensive line, because you got to control the ball. Now, sure, their yardage looks good, but you got to control the line of scrimmage. You've got to score more points, obviously, than what you're doing right now against Illinois. UNLV is potentially a very good ground game, very, very good ground game. So we'll see what happens. But, the running game in this particular game may be the one thing that you want to kind of keep your eye out. You'll have heard it here if that ends up being the case. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it's going to be one of those things where whoever controls the line of scrimmage in this particular game may end up winning this game. And by the way, 2-0 with UNLV, it's not like they've played Murderer's Row or anything. A win over Utah Tech. I mean, you take that for whatever it's worth. But it's going to be a good football team. And I'm surprised that even with PJ in breaking down this game, I was almost a little surprised how much loving he gave UNLV. Weren't you a little bit?
Well, I mean, UNLV, they've got talent. There's no doubt about that. And on top of that, they have an extremely experienced head coach in Barry Odom. That was, I remember in the bowl game last year, that was my major concern I thought that Kansas was more talented than UNLV was going into that bowl game, but Barry Odom's been around the block, and he's not one of the best coaches in college football historically. There's no doubt about that. It didn't work out for him coaching Missouri. They've been able to exceed the levels that he took them to now, but he's found new life at UNLV. He's got them to bowl games and that sort of thing. So I was concerned about it a year ago. I think that to me continues into this matchup, is that you're talking about a coach that by and large knows what he's doing. I'm going to tell you right now, Paul, that if there are not adjustments made in the offensive play calling for the Jayhawks tomorrow night, I have really, really major concerns about this Jayhawks team going into conference play.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. At the very beginning of the year, the expectations, pretty openly are make the 12-team playoff, right? Like that's kind of what the expectation is, make the 12-team playoff.
I'm with you.
If they drop this game tomorrow night, and if it's due to the offensive play calling, number one, you can kiss the 12-team playoff goodbye, because they're not going undefeated in Big 12 play. It's not going to happen. I don't think any team in the Big 12 will go undefeated in conference play. And the opportunity for a 3-loss team, even if the Jayhawks lose tomorrow night and then they lose just one conference game and they're a 3-loss team, I don't think that they become a representative as an at-large.
Yeah, what you're saying is, no two teams from the Big 12. You're saying basically one team. That's what that's what you're saying.
If the Big 12, team that has the best record in the regular season wins the Big 12 championship, then I think that they'd probably only get one team that automatic bid.
Right.
But even if they do get two teams in, that second team, in my opinion, is not going to be a 3-loss team. I just don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I just don't think that the committee will, put in a 3-loss team as an at-large.
Right.
On top of that, let's say that the second place team beats the first place team in the conference championship. I don't think it'll be Kansas at 3 or more losses. I think you'll have the top team in the Big 12, and then whoever that second place team is probably has 2 losses.
Well, that's a lot of pressure on a University of Kansas football team because, let's face it. Everybody thought KU was going to beat
Illinois. 100%.
I thought it. Yeah. I know you thought it.
I thought it.
Even
I
Jed thought it, and he doesn't even
him.
know what he's thinking about. But the point is that, man, there is a lot of pressure on the Jayhawks. And it's very unusual to catch as much flack with regards to, the workings, the inner workings, what's going on with the University of Kansas as a coaching staff that most everybody really loves and thinks doing a great job. And yet I was still a little surprised to see the criticism of this coaching staff, particularly as you had already mentioned in what you just said, play selection. That seems to be a problem that a lot of people have. And I find that
rightfully
fascinating
so,
because I can't think of a football program in the Midwest, at least in the Midwest, that doesn't have more, the coaching staff have much more respect than this staff at the University of Kansas has. People have confidence in these guys. People believe in what they're doing. And to get that kind of criticism, that much criticism, I'll rephrase, is it's a little astounding to me.
I do think that there is, and honestly, I'll be the first to admit, I obviously I follow Kansas football pretty closely.
I know you do.
In fact, I'll be at the game tomorrow night at Children's Mercy Park. So I follow them pretty closely. Even I was not anticipating if you want to call them issues, the situation with having a brand new offensive coordinator. That had slipped my mind. The fact that Andy Kotelnicki, who has been with Lance Leipold forever, dating back to Buffalo, dating back to other places, is no longer with the program anymore. He's coaching the offense at Penn State now, and good for him. It's a hell of an upgrade. That's a hell of a job. Going to the legendary Penn State. I get it. They bring in Jeff Grimes. He's a Baylor guy, right? He came from Baylor, called the plays at Baylor for a while. I guess in my naive mind, I just sort of expected a seamless transition. I just kind of expected like business as usual, because I kept thinking to myself in the offseason, they're basically returning everybody they've got offensively. They're returning, obviously, Daniels. They're returning Devin Neal and Daniel Highshaw, Sevion Morrison, Luke Grimm, Quentin Skinner, Jared Casey, Lawrence Arnold. They're returning all of their weapons. They had to replace a little bit on the offensive line, but I never took into consideration the fact that you've got a brand new play caller who's going to want to do things his way. Man, through the first 2 weeks, I know they beat Lindenwood, but they looked kind of sloppy against Lindenwood offensively too in that week number 1 game. Then they lose to Illinois. I think if it doesn't get remedied soon, we might be looking at a pretty substantial issue here.
You said something interesting. We do things the way the offensive coordinator does things.
Yeah.
The way he wants to do it.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case. That is never the case. It's always going to be the head coach that says, this is how we're going to do this. And that's where, where the head coach steps in and says, this is what we got to do. This is what I want. And ultimately his name is on the program.
Sure.
The offensive coordinator's name is not on the program. The head coach's name is on the program.
Yeah, but I also think, and I don't know the inner workings of the way that Lance Leipold operates his coaching staff, but I think that there have been so much longevity with him and Andy Kotelnicki that, not that Lance Leipold deferred to Kotelnicki, but he had trust in Kotelnicki. Right. Like, this is your offense. Ultimately, by and large, I'm the head coach, but I trust you and I trust your judgment, and we align on what we're going to do, the plays you're going to call. I am on board with I'm sure that was a large part of it because they had worked together for so long. This is somebody brand new coming in. And it makes me wonder if Lance Leipold kind of thought the same thing about Jeff Grimes. Hey, we'll keep the same sort of system. I trust you like I trusted Andy Kotelnicki. I just don't think it's really worked over the first 2 weeks.
Well, we'll see what happens because there isn't a head coach in the country at this level of football that doesn't say offensive coordinator, you will have on my desk by Thursday all the plays that we're going to call. I will look at the plays. I will approve the game plan is ultimately whose responsibility, Tommy? It's the head coach's responsibility. So I'm kind of understanding what you're trying to get at, but the reality of the situation, that's not quite the way it works. But we'll see. But I sure respect the head coach that tells his offensive coordinator, you do what you got to do. You do what you think is best, because that's a coach that ultimately will get the most out of his coaches by letting them coach. Let them coach. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what the transition is, what the changes have been made, and it may be recognizable to everybody who watches that game. We'll see.
We'll pick this game and a lot of other ones, including the Kansas State game tomorrow in our Friday football picks. And, look, I think the best thing possible for Kansas is to come out, show that they've made those adjustments offensively. I feel great about the defense. but make those adjustments offensively and punch UNLV in the mouth. That's going to be the best case.
Yeah.
Feed the ball to Devin Neal.
Right.
Feed the ball to Daniel Highshaw. Do not put the success or failure of this offense right now on Jalen Daniels' back.
By the way,
And I mean that literally, because his back was the thing that kept him out for so long.
Right.
Do not put it on his back, on his shoulders to win the game.
Real quick before we go to break,
Yeah.
I guess you heard about the results from last Friday? I don't want to have to bring it up, but I mean, I don't know if you heard the results.
I was debating on whether or not I wanted to say anything. Congratulations, Paul, going 6-0. I'm sure that we will hear more about that tomorrow. It's like Rain Man. You're like Rain Man in those Friday football picks.
Rain Man.
You're like Rain Man. You're like Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man.
Yeah, that's you're
like a savant when it comes to these things.
I went 2-4 the week before.
Good Lord.
How good is that?
It's a
2-4.
Perfect 6-0. You know, Jacob went 1-5 last week.
Oh my!
And I was gonna give him some grief, and then I remembered a year ago I went 0-10 one week, and so I have no room. I can't talk to anybody. I have no room to criticize anybody.
Well, the good news is you had a no in that score, and I had a no in my score this week.
Well, the O is on the different column.
Oh, is that
It was in a
right?
separate
Okay,
column
good.
entirely.
Okay.
So we'll pick all those games tomorrow on our Friday football picks. Real quick, before we go to break, want to let you know about a special program we have going on this weekend. The Wichita State Shockers are taking over the fairgrounds at the Kansas State Fair for Shocker Sunday, the final day of the State Fair this Sunday. Make it out to Hutch for a Shocker-filled day at the fair. Or you can also tune in right here to KFH 97.5 and 1240 for a special live show featuring special Wichita State guests. That's going to be happening Sunday morning from 11 a.m. to noon, right before NFL coverage, right before everything else going on that Sunday, 11 to noon on Sunday here at KFH for Shocker Sunday at the Kansas State Fair. Make sure you don't miss that. We're going to step aside. We'll be right back. It's Sports Daily on KFH.
Colin Huck's power washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News this morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
Welcome back, everybody. This portion of Sports Daily brought to you by Crestview Country Club. We appreciate them supporting the program each and every day. Paul, over the weekend, I played in a golf tournament out at Crestview, and it was a lot of fun. The weather was beautiful this weekend. I really enjoyed it. Played Saturday and Sunday.
How'd you shoot?
Played okay. We played fine. I mean, it was a team event. You know, I had a partner. We did good. We didn't win anything, but we were fine.
Good.
Let's put it that way. We were fine.
Good.
It wasn't embarrassing, which is good. But I'll tell you this: we played 27 holes of golf on Saturday, 18 holes of golf on Sunday.
Wow!
So 45 total holes over 2 days. Don't get me wrong. I love golf. Anybody who listens to the show knows that I love golf. I will play it all the time. I'm taking a little bit of a break. That was a lot of golf to play.
Right.
Over a 2-day stretch.
Right.
And I woke up Monday morning just sore. I felt worn down, like my back hurt. You know, I had a achy knee, and I'm like, man, I'm not as young as I used to be.
There you go.
You know, I had to pop some Advil before I came into work, and I'm like, you know what? I might take a little bit of time off.
Well, I'm going to tell you, get all you can get in, because we're 30 days away from starting cold weather. You know, it's going to be here pretty quick. Then it's going to get tougher to play golf in the cold. I don't know if you're a cold weather golfer or not.
I will. I mean, like, honestly, I like it enough. Jacob and I have talked about this before, like what the cutoff temperature is when you won't go and play. For me, honestly, it's not necessarily about the temperature as much as it is about the wind speed.
Oh, I got you.
If it's windy and the wind chill is low and it's just miserable, and you know that biting wind that hurts when it hits you, I'm not going to play.
I got you.
But if it's 40 degrees and calm, that's not bad.
Okay.
Like, I'll bundle up, I'll be okay. It'll be fine. But 50, 55 and a brisk wind, I'll probably stay home for that.
Not quite that.
I'll probably stay home for that.
No, that's good. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you had fun. Crestview.
Good.
We love Crestview, don't we?
We do. We really appreciate them supporting this program. They've been on board for a few months now. And so if you are looking for a fun place to join, whether you play golf or not, they've got a great swimming pool during the summer. They've got great activities, a great dining room, great bar, tennis courts. I mean, you name it, they've got it out there. Check them out. You can go online. You can find more about them, get their phone number, all of that. Schedule a tour. I know that the folks there, are more than happy to do that. And like I mentioned, we really appreciate their support of the program. And just a quick reminder, Thursday night football tonight, The Bills on the road in Miami. We've talked about it a couple different times on this show, Paul. You, I believe, are backing the Bills, right? You think the Bills are going to go down to Miami and win?
That's right. And part of that is just the distractions with the Tyreek Hill situation and some of the guys being in handcuffs and all that stuff.
I mean,
they
responded to that. They responded to that last week right after it happened against the Jags. You know, they had a big comeback, and Tyreek Hill had the longest touchdown catch of his career in the game on Sunday.
But it's festered. I mean, just yesterday, Tyreek Hill had a 15-minute press conference, 15 minutes talking about this. This was yesterday. This is the day before they play. I'm just telling you that this isn't forgotten. And somehow this is in somebody's mind. I'm taking the Bills. I just think that this is sort of one of those distractions. And we know how detrimental distractions can be to any sports team.
I like the Dolphins. That they were my pick, I believe, to win the division this year. I like them. I'm going to take them. I think that they will thrive on this, and I'm just not high on Buffalo. I know they came back and beat Jacksonville last week, but Josh Allen doesn't have the same guys around him, and I'm not high on them.
No,
so I'm going to take the Dolphins at home tonight. You can listen to the entire game, all the coverage, beginning at 7:00 tonight, right here on KFH. We'll step aside for our final timeout. On the other side, we'll break down the remainder of today's schedule. It's coming up for you next. Sports Daily on KFH.
Colin Huck's power washing is like getting to the top of Mount Everest with only a bag of beef jerky and a soda. Huck's can conquer all residential or commercial exterior cleaning woes that you have, leaving you feeling like you're on top of the world. House washing, window cleaning, driveway washing, to even graffiti removal. Coming this fall, we'll offer professional holiday lights installation. We love muck and gunk. You don't. Let Huck's handle it. Call for a quote today.
Right. Start your day with 12 News This Morning. Get ready with Jake's accurate hour-by-hour forecast, so you'll know if you need a jacket when you walk out the door or an umbrella by lunch. Start your day knowing what happened overnight and what's happening now. Live, breaking news all morning long. And plan the best route to work and school with traffic from across Kansas. Start your day right. Start your day with 12 News This Morning on KWCH and KSEW.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
At 12 News, we know you're busy, which is why we're here whenever you need us. Anytime, any screen. With live breaking news.
Critically hurt after an apartment.
Storm Team 12 forecast.
Snowing for many miles.
And the stories you don't want to miss.
The scene's still very active.
Just
right
search KWCH 12 News wherever you stream and catch up on the latest news of the day. All for free and on your schedule, hopefully making your day a little bit easier. And did I mention the Storm Team 12 forecast? 12 News whenever you want.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With more than 25 flavors, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day for half-price cups of tea. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Determining fact from fiction. That's our full-time job.
You need to have someone give you the whole story from every side.
To help you when no one else is listening.
You need someone to put you first.
That's what we do.
We bring you the facts first.
When you need it.
Wherever you are.
12 News. Facts first.
All right, thanks everybody. That's going to do it for us on a Thursday here on Sports Daily. Immediately following us, Jim Rome at 11, Bob and Jeff locally at 2 o'clock, Zach Gelb at 4 for 2 hours before the Chris Kleiman Show kicks off at 6 o'clock, talking K-State football and their game tomorrow night against Arizona. And then 7 o'clock, Bills at Dolphins NFL on KFH right here as the evening rolls on. We'll be back tomorrow for our Friday football picks. Paul Savage will be back in. Paul, good to see you today, buddy.
Had fun, big boy. Had a lot of fun.
We'll be joined by TJ Cleveland and Brandon Zinner from 12 News. Jacob Albrock will be back. Myself, Jad Chambers producing. We will see you on a Friday.